Hello everyone. Today's topic is the women behind three of Japan's most legendary rulers, Oda Nobunaga, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, and Tokugawa Ieyasu. If you're someone who's fascinated by Japanese history, cultural mysteries, and the hidden sides of powerful men, you're in the right place. This channel is your companion for exploring history, not just through events, but through emotion and reflection. Whether you're folding laundry on your commute or taking an evening walk, let this video be your thoughtful background companion. And of course, if you enjoy this type of content, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss what's next. Let's begin with the timeless question. Have women in your life been your greatest blessings or your deepest heartbreaks? In our youth, we chase love without hesitation. In marriage, we navigate closeness and distance. And as we grow older, we finally begin to understand their emotional depth and significance. Women can be angels when they heal, or devils when they wound. And as you'll see, even Japan's greatest men weren't immune to this truth. Oda Nobunaga, too cold to women. Let's begin with Oda Nobunaga, a name synonymous with revolution, power, and transformation. He wasn't just a warlord, he was a force of nature, the man who introduced firearms to Japanese warfare, the man who defied tradition and struck fear into both allies and enemies. And yet behind this military genius was an emotional void. His political marriage to Nohaime, daughter of Saito, Dosanthi Viper of Mino, should have been the start of a powerful domestic alliance. She was smart, respected, and admired. But after the wedding, she disappears from the records. No romantic letters, no children, no signs of personal affection. It's as though Nobunaga viewed her solely as a political asset. Unlike other daimyos who had dozens of concubines, Nobunaga's list was shockingly short, perhaps as few as 2 to 5. And his offspring? Just around 5 children, far fewer than his contemporaries. This wasn't an accident or a flaw, it was a deliberate choice. Nobunaga treated personal relationships as tactical tools, nothing more. But in this sea of cold detachment, there was one anomaly: Mori Ranmaru, a youthful page known for his grace, intelligence, and striking beauty. Some historians suggest their relationship may have included romantic elements. Regardless of that, Ranmaru clearly held a place in Nobunaga's heart. He was loyal, trusted, and in the end, died beside Nobunaga at Honnoji. This tells us something vital. Nobunaga was not incapable of affection, he was selective. He rejected emotional vulnerability as a rule, but permitted a rare exception. And that exception, one young man, stood by him when everyone else turned away. Nobunaga's legacy is marked by unmatched achievements. But emotionally, he left nothing behind. No scandal, no family warmth, no rescue at the end. His fall may have begun not with swords, but with silence. In shutting everyone out, he ensured that when betrayal came, he would face it utterly alone. Toyotomi Hideyoshi obsessed with women. Now, let's move to Toyotomi. Hideyoshi, the polar opposite of Nobunaga in nearly every way. Born a peasant, Hideyoshi climbed the ranks not by heritage or brute strength, but through sheer charm, wit, and relentless ambition. But once he reached the pinnacle of power, he sought something else: adoration. Unlike Nobunaga, Hideyoshi craved emotional validation. Though short and unattractive by many accounts, he wielded emotional intelligence like a weapon. He listened, he flattered, he gifted with precision. His ability to make women feel seen and valued made him irresistible, despite his humble appearance. But for Hideyoshi, women weren't simply romantic companions. They were emotional proof that he had arrived, that he was no longer the poor boy overlooked in childhood. And no one embodied that desire more than Lady Yodo Dono, the niece of Nobunaga and daughter of a defeated enemy lord. Hideyoshi brought her into his home, made her his favorite, and had a son, Hideyori, with her. But that deep emotional investment in her clouded his judgment. He began alienating key retainers, ignoring looming threats, and investing everything in a single bloodline. This emotional tunnel vision paved the way for Tokugawa Ieyasu's rise. Hideyoshi didn't stop at noble women. Records show he pursued commoners, married women, and concubines in alarming numbers. There was even a women-led, protesta-literal female riot in response to his insatiable advances. Even Tokugawa Ieyasu reportedly expressed concern about Hideyoshi's emotional spiral. Hideyoshi wasn't merely lustful. He was haunted by the need to be admired, to prove his worth, to show the world that he was lovable and powerful. And in the end, that very need destroyed the stability he fought so hard to build. Though he was surrounded by affection, he died with no clear successor, strong enough to hold it all together. His emotional hunger, his need to be loved, was what ultimately undermined his empire. Tokugawa Ieyasu, the man who mastered emotion. Now we turn to Tokugawa Ieyasu, the slow, steady tactician, not as bold as Nobunaga, nor as magnetic as Hideyoshi, but the one who endured, the one who outlasted, and the one who founded a dynasty that would rule for over 250 years. His emotional strength was forged through fire. One of his most defining decisions was the execution of his wife and the forced suicide of his son, acts done in the name of political preservation. Unthinkable but telling, Ieyasu wasn't heartless. He was calculating, and his decisions, however cold, were made with the future in mind. Unlike Nobunaga, he didn't shun women. And unlike Hideyoshi, he didn't drown in affection. He maintained over 20 concubines and fathered many children, but managed those relationships with balance and restraint. He used marriage as a tool to forge alliances, assigning his children strategically. He avoided scandals, managed tensions between women with careful gifts and space, and never allowed emotion to derail his vision. Even into his 70s, he brought concubines into his circle, not out of lust, but to strengthen political ties. This shows the depth of his foresight. He didn't kill emotion, he controlled it. He didn't ignore feeling, he guided it. And that mastery of self is what allowed him to build something lasting. He didn't just win a war, he won time. What women revealed about their character. So what do these stories teach us? That power is not defined only by action, but by emotional discipline. How a man treats women says more about him than any battle ever could. Nobunaga shut emotion out completely and died without anyone left to care. Hideyoshi indulged in emotion and lost everything trying to prove he was worthy of love. Ieyasu carried emotion like a sword, carefully, thoughtfully, never letting it control him. In their treatment of women, we see their true selves not because women brought them down, but because emotion tested them at their core. And here's where it comes back to us. You may not be a general. You may not rule a nation, but you've built something: family, community, career. And in your life, how have you dealt with emotion? Have you been closed off like Nobunaga, overinvested like Hideyoshi? Or have you learned to carry your emotions with the control and wisdom of Ieyasu? Because ultimately, women in our lives don't just bring joy or pain. They reflect back to us who we really are. Closing thoughts. If you've made it this far, thank you. Thank you for diving deep with us, not just into history, but into humanity. Leave a comment below. Share your thoughts, your reflections, your version of the battlefield. And if this stirred something in you, subscribe, hit that bell, and send this to someone who might need it. Because history isn't just about the past. It's about the patterns we live and the choices we still get to make.